Today is 10/17/21. 10/17/21. That is a Sunday. And you can make it through Jesus by speaking life over your life. When it comes to the Lord, something to get excited about, guys. It's something to get excited about. He is amazing. The more and more you get to know him, he is amazing. All right, well, let's get into this lesson today. Today, I wanted to talk about being a parent. Parents. You know, a lot of times we as parents, man, we get some raps, man. We get some bad raps. We get some bad raps because a lot of times we don't have a handbook for being a parent. We're learning how to be a parent. And that is why sometimes we make mistakes and we do better with our grandkids whenever we have grandkids, because sometimes with our own kids, we make our own mistakes because we're doing the best we can. And remember, no one's going to tell you who's right or wrong of being a parent but God. Everybody else is telling you their opinion of being a parent. Where's their handbook? God is the one that can teach you how to be the best parent possible. Everybody else is practicing parenting. God is the ultimate parent. So we want to learn from our great King. But I say all of that to say this. As being a parent, there are things that we leave our children. And some of us strive very hard to leave them material things that will only go so far. Now, am I saying don't leave your children material things? Now you're misunderstanding. No. Do your best to always leave for them. I think it says, a wise person leaves an inheritance for his children's children. Now, what kind of inheritance do you want to leave? That is what I want to talk about today. What will you leave for your children when it comes to God? Materially, man, you leave whatever you feel is best. But now I'm jumping over to spiritually. What will you leave for your children when it comes spiritually? I would like to speak of how we as individuals have to be careful with what we leave for our children when it comes to how we act when it comes to our God. And this is how I'm going to explain it. We're going to use David and we're going to use Solomon. We're going to use David and Solomon. We see that David was not a perfect man, but David was a man after God's own heart. Now, David was a murderer. David did all the things that, not all the things. I mean, he did things that humans do. I'm not saying any of those things that David did was right. David was a sinner like all of us are, and he found mercy with God. But he was a man after God's own heart. And as being a man after God's own heart, God did things for his children, namely Solomon. I'm going to pick up a story of what God said to Solomon. This is after David was gone off the scene. We're going to look at 1 Kings 9, 4 through 9. 1 Kings 9, 4 through 9. Check this out. I'm just going to skim through it. As for you, this is God talking to Solomon. As for you, if you walk before me in integrity of heart and uprightness as David your father did. So now, here, God is telling Solomon, David, your father, loved me. He walked before me with integrity of heart and uprightness. If you do this, listen to what he says, as your David, your dad did, and do all I command and observe my decrees and laws, I will establish your royal throne over Israel forever. Now, this is through Jesus. We know that. As I promised David, your father, I would. And you should never fail to have a man on the throne. Listen to what he's saying here. You do right, Solomon. I've told David, as long as you do right, as long as his kids do right, he's going to have someone on the throne. Now, we know Jesus is on the throne forever because he came from the lineage of David. That's another different story. But look at the promise that God is making Solomon. You do right. I got you and your children because of your dad. So this is what he left. God made this promise to David. Now let's read on down. But if you or your sons turn away from me, now God starts breaking into what will happen next. So now God is giving Solomon a choice here. David loved me. David set a lot of stuff up for you, Solomon. And I'm fulfilling what I told David. I'm fulfilling that. And I'll show you more of that in a little bit. So look at David's love for God ensured a better start for his son. Now, it doesn't end it. It just ensured a better start for him. Now, once you get in this, you got to do your part too. But as being a parent, look at what David did for Solomon, setting him up with God. Doing his part for God to say, I got you. Now, how do we know this is true? Do you remember Abraham? Abraham had a chosen child. But also Abraham went and did things his own way. And he had another child. Sarah said, put the child out. That disturbed Abraham. It's in Genesis, disturbed Abraham. So Abraham went and prayed. And God said, it is through Isaac. That is where the blessing will come from. But because he's your child, your offspring, I got him. Even though I didn't tell you to have him, I got him. Because you love me, Abraham. Because you obeyed me. Because you did not stop to, when I asked you to sacrifice your only son, you did it quickly. You didn't sacrifice him naturally, but in your heart you did. You showed me I was always above everything else. So not only Abraham do I got you, I got people under you. See, this is what we as parents can leave. But remember, there's always a flip side as well. And I'm going to get to that this video. I'll get to that a different video. So we see here, God's talking to Solomon. You can keep reading on your own time because my time is getting away from me. But if you turn to other gods, something else is going to happen. Okay? So now, here is what David left for Solomon. Right? Now, let's see what Solomon did. We're going to turn, that was 1 Kings 9, 4 through 9. Now I'm on 1 Kings 11 because now here comes Solomon. Now David's done this for Solomon. Now let's see what Solomon leaves for his son. Let's see. So now I'm on 1 Kings 11 and I am on verse 14. Okay. 1 Kings 11. I'm on verse 4. Is it 14? Yes, you can read it. No, I'm going to read 9. I'm sorry. I want 9 first. I want 9 first. The Lord became angry with Solomon because his heart had turned away from the Lord, the God of Israel, who appeared to him twice. What did God say to Solomon? Remember what he said? You turn away from me, not going to be good for you. Okay? Although he forbids Solomon to follow other gods. You guys don't understand. Don't do that to him. There are no other gods. I'm telling you, you don't have to believe me, your choice. There are no other gods. There is one. He will not allow you to serve some other god and him take care of you the way he's doing. Yeah, he takes care of you every day. But if you're going to bow down to another god, that hurts him. So he forbid, listen to what he forbid Solomon to follow other gods. Solomon did not keep the Lord's commands. And the Lord said to Solomon, since this is your attitude that you have and not keeping my commands and decrees, which I've commanded you, I will most certainly tear the kingdom away from you and give it to other people. Nevertheless, listen to verse 12. Nevertheless, for the sake of David, your father, I will not do it during your lifetime. So here it is again. Because of your daddy, I'm about to get you. Because I mentioned to you. See, your dad understood you don't serve any other gods. Your dad served me. He set you up real well, Solomon. But now you want to follow all these women? You want to serve their gods? After I came to you, tell me any other god that came to you, Solomon. They didn't, because there aren't any other gods. I came to you myself. And now you want to serve other gods after I've given you all this? I've given you wisdom. I've given you understanding. I made you great. I did all this for you, Solomon. You did none of this. I did this. And now you want to turn your back on me and serve other gods? God said, no, no. So he said, because of David, I won't do it in your lifetime. But check this out. I will tear it out of the hands of your son. Listen. Yet I will not tear the whole kingdom from him, but will give him one tribe for the sake of David, my servant. Solomon, I can really get you right now, but I made a promise to your dad. I'm going to let you keep your stuff. But when you leave, I'm telling you, your son is going to pay the price because of you. So now you see one dad that set his son up real well. You see another dad that set his son up not so well. Because what are you going to leave for your children? What kind of relationship do you have with God? Do you have a relationship where you can ensure that God's going to take care of your children once you exit the scene? See, that's something that we have to remember. See, David had the assurance from God. I got you. Even though David has left this place, we know David's not dead. Come on, man. David may have left this place. But look at how God is still, even though David was not in this place, God was still dropping his name to his son. So as being a parent, what are we going to leave for our children? Now, I'll come back a different video, not today. I'll come back a different video and I will explain the flip side. And I might stay on this subject because there's a lot in here. So as being a parent, we want to do our part to make sure we leave a good inheritance for our children, not just financially. You want to leave them in good standings with God. Well, they have to, yes, they will have their shot with God. I can assure you of that. Everyone must give an account for their own actions. But remember this. Let me show you something in Exodus as I leave out. Exodus. I'm going to leave you with this. Thank you for bearing with me as well. And if it worked for you, maybe hit the like button if you liked it. And you can feel free to share if you like. If not, hey, thank you for listening. Exodus 20:5 and 6. Check it out. You should not bow down to them or worship them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God. Don't bow down to any other gods. I keep telling y'all this. Punishing the children of the sins of the father to the third and fourth generation of those two who hate me. So if you don't obey God and you do what you want and you dislike God and you don't want anything to do with God, listen to what he's saying. Your children will be punished from the third to the fourth generation. Read it. Punishing the children for the sins of the fathers to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me. And verse 6, but showing love to 1,000 generations of those who love me and keep my commandments. So what are you going to leave for your children? And not just your children, their children and their children. Isn't that like the third and fourth generation? So this is going to trickle down. So what you do with God is going to affect generations to follow. That is why I'm trying to express to you, man, you want to get to know him. You want to obey him. You want to love him. You want to really, really understand what he's calling for, because this is not just only about you. If you have children, they can pay a price for your mistakes, but they can also be blessed through you because you have done right by God as well. Up to you. Much more to come. But here's a start. Here's the start of just as being a parent, really thinking about what will we leave for our children when this is all said and done. Be blessed, great people. And I pray that something was said that would help you today. Lord, we thank you for helping us to do right by you. Help us to be in good standings with you. Help us to be at peace with you. Help us to obey you fully from our heart, Lord. Help us to give you everything that you desire. And we thank you for teaching us how to be the best parents that we can be, because you are a flawless parent. In Jesus' name.